Unfortunately, a lot of other students seem to have the same idea, so there aren't a whole lot of empty classrooms to go around. Finally, as I'm about to give up on the idea, I find a dark one at the end of the hall. Oh, it's Lily. Her eyes from the back there. On turning the lights on, however, I find out that this one isn't empty either. Lily's head turns in my direction, which freaks me out before I realize she probably heard me flipping the light switch.
Hello.
Hey, Lily, I didn't think anyone else would be here.
Is that you, Sal?
Yeah, but you probably knew that already. I turn to leave, which prompts Lily to quickly speak up.
You don't have to leave so quickly. We can both have lunch in the same room. As a matter of fact, I would prefer to eat with someone else.
I'm about to ask her how she knew I was there to eat lunch, but brush it aside. It's just simple common sense, and I don't want to seem too easily impressed. Well, where's Hanako then? I take a seat at the desk in front of Lily. After reversing it to face hers, I've heard that our minds fill in a lot of what we see based on how we remembered seeing it once before, or our expectations. Mostly for efficiency, so as to not have to process everything you look at individually. Lily never seems to stop to question any noise, so I wonder if it's because her mind is filling in context every time. Does she not care and just sort of accepts things as they fall into place? On her desk there are just a few cookies and a thermos of tea. She must be one of those light lunch types. I bite into my sandwich. Some of the ingredients spill out the back end.
We haven't spoken in a long time. I'm surprised that you'll still remember my name.
Well, how could we forget?
You must be very busy in the student council.
It's different every week. Some weeks are pretty slow. Some weeks I consider taking a sick day. Hold on, Lily. I need a second to catch my breath from inhaling that sandwich.
And how has it been lately?
Unpredictable. I snap my fingers, which from her facial expression upsets her a lot.
I think that you've been hanging out around those two too much.
I guess it is one of Shizune's trademarks. Personally, I like it.
I ignore it.
Her tone doesn't change even slightly, but Lily's mood has obviously dipped. Doesn't seem like it'd be easy to. I've been trying to figure out how she can make it so loud. I think I'm damaging my knuckles.
Even if it were loud enough to break the windows, I would ignore it. I'm not a trained SEAL, I have that luxury.
Are you still mad about that? I asked the question as carefully and diplomatically as possible, although in the end I'm only asking to satisfy my curiosity.
No, of course not, although I don't like Shizune. We were in the student council together for a brief time.
I heard.
I wish you hadn't been so quick to join. I don't like the way Shizune runs the student council. Did you know that she scared off most of the old members? That's why I think she tries to surround herself with people who won't oppose her. And they don't. It's like a dependency bubble.
I'm sure that Shizune is aware of what Lily is saying. After all, I can remember her specifically denying it a couple of times, which I'd always thought was strange. They say that the more specific a denial is, the more likely it is that the allegations are true. In this case, I think I disagree. Shizune is the one subject on which her opinion could be called less than objective. Did you tell her that?
Very often.
Lily stops to polish off the last of her tea. I'm running behind on finishing my own lunch and take advantage of the pause to eat as much as possible.
All of her friends are related to the student council, like Misha. I heard things are touchy between her and Misha. Did they have a fight?
Not really.
Is that so? By the way, there is no point in attempting to force them to make up. Always try to confront everything head-on is what Shizune would do. But it doesn't work in the real world. At some point it's just being stubborn, not bravery or good intentions.
That's a little general, don't you think?
I suppose. What do you think is the best to have with tea? Cookies or scones? I like them both, in different ways. I couldn't possibly choose.
Birdie!
I don't like people who constantly force me to pick sides or want to turn everything into a contest. When I joined the student council, I thought it would just mean helping everything run smoothly and helping people out, like being the class representative. Instead, every day consisted of having Shizune stomp around, using Misha like a megaphone to talk about how we had to outdo the last student council and create more and more events, and make them increasingly larger.
But then the two of you basically want the same thing. All that stuff makes things exciting. I didn't really get it at first, but it's not some ego project. People like fireworks and sobbats, candied apples and dress-up days, or whatever. The more the student council does, the more responsibility the school gives us. It means extra work, but in a way, it also means more freedom. You have the pull to do things like organize a big festival, and they'll think you're capable enough to handle it instead of just reject it instantly. Anyway, I want that too now. It's got its share of pointless busy work, but there are moments that make it worth it when everything comes together. There's be something to do. If I were to just go to school day in, day out, I think I'd explode.
I think Yamaku is much more easygoing than other schools.
Yamaku isn't all schools, though. I start slipping into another familiar mentality. Slipping, I mean. In some ways, it's almost too easygoing. If I were a different person, I'm sure I would find how easygoing it was to be stifling. Though in any other school, such easiness would just be the normal flow of life. But here, the uneventfulness would be compounded. It would feel different, because I'm not a normal person after all. I'd be reminded of it every time I heard the blood beating in my temples. I'd feel fat and eyes and weak, and my bitterness would only grow. Yeah, sure. The point is, I think I understand what it's all about now. You're really giving Shizune too much of a hard time.
That might be true, but when it comes to how she treats individual people, she doesn't do very well.
Unfortunately, that one is a little harder to argue.
Do you have the time? I'd like to go to class 10 minutes before the bell.
Then you're right on time if you go now. Excusing herself, Lily leaves, and I sit listening to the clicking of her cane on the floor, fading into the mumble of other students having conversations in the other classrooms and in the hall. I feel exhausted and completely forget that I wanted to talk to Shizune today. This route goes on forever. This really is going to surpass Rin's route in length. This is ridiculous. We haven't even got to the bad ending yet. After classes the next day, I instantly head towards the student council room to talk to Shizune. Even though she's in class, trying to cut her off and have a conversation with her near the doorway or out in the hallway could be a little obstructive. Better try and meet up with her at the student council room. I'll make my time heading there, getting the juice from the vending machine on the way. Also go over what I want to say to her in my head. It's nothing too important, only a few questions about upcoming events. The door is on. Oh! Ooh. This music. What's this scene called? Spiral. Wait. We're technically still in the same scene then, I think. But Caged Hearts, whenever that music plays, you know shit's about to go down. The door is unlocked when I get there. I'd think the room was empty too, if I couldn't see Shizune's bag perched on her desk. The top of her head peeking from behind it. Looks as though she's built herself a little fort. What? But really, like, anytime you hear this track, you know you're freaking, like, on your way to a bad ending, or you're still early on in the plot. Shizune gives away from behind her bag before picking up with a finger and moving it out of the way. After that, she immediately goes back to tapping her pen against the desk and staring into her checklist as if it held the meaning of life itself in it. Wait, what did you say? That's concerning into checklist and different. Oh. I thought if it was like a bag or something, I could have made a Monty Python joke, but never mind. What do you need? I wanted to see if there was anything I could help with, like all that over there. What are those? Bourbons. So that's what my mom was on about the other day. Like, saw some post on Facebook where he's just like, did I offend you? Good, now fuck off and, how did it go? Fuck off and take your face for a shit. Well, that's certainly new, isn't it? I mean, just like, oh, have I offended you? Well, fuck off. Well, good, fuck off and all that. That's pretty, you know, ordinary. I mean, you hear that a lot on the internet. Well, people tend to freaking share images like on Facebook a lot, don't they? It's like, oh, did I offend you? Well, fuck off, essentially. But that's a new kind of one, isn't it? Take your face for a shit. That's a new one. Another moment then. Okay, now let's get back to the plot. I want to see if there was anything I did right that. I point to the medium-sized stack of folders beside her, but she waves her hand dismissively.
I can handle it myself.
Then what about the elections? Also, where's Misha?
It's going okay. I told Misha that I was going to handle everything myself.
Aye. Shizune spins the pen in her hand slowly, working it between each of her fingers like a needle through a patch of cloth.
No reason.
Really?
No reason.
She signs it again for emphasis, to shut down the notion that there's anything more behind it. But there is, since she's definitely not acting normally. What's with the silent treatment is the phrase that immediately springs to mind, even though it is hardly the time for humor. It does describe how I feel. We can't communicate normally, so I appreciate the few ways we can to be shut out like this hurts. In a way he says, but this isn't the time for humor. I think, well, it's like when you're in a serious situation, but you just can't help but think of something comedic or sarcastic in your mind. I do that all the damn time. It's obvious that whatever reason, it's going to be pretty much impossible to talk to Shizune today. Beyond just being stubborn, she seems depressed, but with the way our conversation is going already, I don't see myself being able to find out what she's depressed about. Somehow, that only makes me want to find out more, and that means I have to ask Misha. The problem is, I don't really know where Misha goes in her spare time. Shanghai. After asking way more people than I should if they've noticed a girl with bright pink hair around, and getting way more negative answers than expected, I finally find a couple who have seen her. By the time I reach the cafeteria where Misha's apparently been this entire time, I've been around the whole school twice, and I'm very tired. I realize I passed by her before and just didn't see her behind a pillar. Why are you better at finding me than I am at finding you?
You were looking for me, Hee-chan. Who knows? I think it's just coincidence.
You know, the whole point of coincidences is that they aren't consistent.
Ha ha ha!
Are you having a real late lunch?
I didn't get to eat at lunchtime, so yeah, but not too much, so I can still have dinner. And you want to talk to me about something, Hee-chan?
I don't waste any time. Yeah, the reason I'm here. Did you notice Shizune has been kind of moody today?
I wanted to ask you the same thing, Hee-chan. Well, except she's been this way for a couple of days now.
I see.
Hee-chan, do you think it's because of something I did? Do you think I got upset at Hee-chan like last time?
No, she seems angry at me anyway. I'm not lying, I really don't. Unfortunately, my attempts to assure her if that don't seem to be going so well. In her own way, Misha's pretty stubborn too. Eventually, I just head back to my dorm. The last few days have been nothing but a continuously frustrating experience, and they left me drained. I feel tired enough that I decided to take a nap, hoping that maybe I'll figure things out in my sleep. It's weird, isn't it? It's like he was like going on about all this optimistic kind of side, and now he's kind of like starting to get a bit frustrated. He's just like, this optimistic shit's really hard to do when shit doesn't go as planned. Well, he's still partially optimistic, I guess. What? No transition, that was a sound effect. Well, it's a musical sound effect for the passage of time, but a moment. Okay. I'll share that image that I just got. So apparently, like, the cat is like just lounging around like he usually does, and just staring with this really just mother of all glares. Show the image here. Grumpy cat. Well, that's more than grumpy cat, really. Grumpy cat and what is there a meme of any cat, like any specific cat, where it looks angry because I don't know. Whatever. When I wake up, I feel more fresh, but still without clarity. The only thing that has changed is that it's dark outside. From opening the window a little, I can tell the weather is still kinda nice. After dry swallowing my nighttime pills, I take a little walk to the vending machines. They're out of everything I'd normally get, so I mash my hand against the buttons until something pops out. The lights are off in the main building, including the student council room, just an offhand observation. As I'm thinking to myself, I hear a rustling behind me. I've seen this movie before, and there is a very ominous sound here, alone at night. Seen this movie before, you say? That sounds like variety of movies? Or is he just like saying it's like, oh, I've seen enough horror movies to know this is an ominous sound? Oh my god, it's Kenji! Luckily it's just Kenji, and he wanders out of the bushes in an unusually cheery mood. Oh wait, it's Kenji! Oh shit! Hey! What the hell? Do you just creep up on people at night and casually go, hey a lot? Oh, that'd be weird. I know it was you. I have extremely good night vision. Maybe it's because I'm superhuman. What are you doing here then? I could ask you the same thing. What are you doing here? I considered just telling the truth, but quickly decided against it. It would take too long to explain. Howling at the moon. I do that too sometimes. Moon isn't out tonight though. I barely even hear him, feeling a bit resentful at the interruption. I lied to Shizune through my teeth that nothing was wrong. Or to be more exact, I lied through my hands. At the exact same time, I was carrying on an entirely different conversation with Misha. That conversation, understandably, could upset Shizune, but there was no way that she could have heard it. Even Misha's hands, usually signing all her thoughts, were completely still. Even if they weren't, I wasn't standing in front of her, blocking them from Shizune's view. The only way that Shizune could listen in on that conversation would be if she could read lips. Pretty much the first thing I'd asked about when taking sign language was about lip reading, just out of curiosity. It's not easy nor is it perfect, so I'd never considered it until now. It would make sense, and the room for misunderstandings while reading lips wouldn't help. So I realized that I could use the cover of darkness to buy milk. Usually only go out when it's raining or I could and shroud myself in a sea of bikers or tourists. This is much more consistent. I'm spending too much money on milk now though. You seem kind of mopey or out of it or something. Don't think too hard. A man has to be all about action. You can't think about stuff all day, but changing the situation around by doing something its best way. I do things all the time without thinking about it. That's why in middle school they called me Cause many problems. I thought it was cool. Sounds like an Indian name. I'm not really in the mood. Having a bad day? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of distracted right now. So distracted that it doesn't hit me until he leaves that his was actually kind of sound advice. I think Shizune would have given me the same suggestion. By then, it's too late to thank him politely. It's just like he really just pops up so many times in this route, doesn't he? And she's just like, I have come to give you advice. Well, sort of. I already responded in the rudest tone possible. I just feel like an ass. In retrospect, these past few days I've regretted every action I've taken. The worst part is that I haven't taken the time to stew over them, and in doing so, learn from them. This only has led to more regrets. How many freaking transitions are there gonna be? The next morning, as I'm getting dressed, I hear a knock at my door. Quickly putting on the rest of my clothes, I open it without really stopping to think about who could be behind it. Turns out to be Shizune. Are we in a different scene now, at least? Terminal. It turns out to be Shizune. Misha told me that you were looking for me. I'm a bit hurt that I didn't even get a good morning, but it's not too big a deal. I was. But you found me yesterday. Shizune's fingers trace a crack in the wall. It seems like she's trying her best to look distant. Well, I didn't make it easy, did I? It's alright. That's why I'm here. We can talk today, although I kind of want to go somewhere else. What about class? It's fine. How about we take a walk around the school? Everywhere except the main building is going to be deserted. The first period bell should be ringing right now. I take a quick glance at my watch and see that she's right. Okay. Is there something wrong? Why do you think there is something wrong? Because you're obviously upset. I could just tell. It's what I wanted to talk to you about. Shizune quickly cracks her knuckles while I sign to her. Apparently I'm easier to read than I'd thought. I was trying hard to hide it. Can you tell what I'm thinking right now? I don't respond, and Shizune heads towards the door, slowly enough that I can tell she wants me to follow her. Her hands are folded behind her back, which is arched against him, as though she is about to bend over backwards at any second. Outside, Shizune is right. The school is completely deserted. Although it's not my first time seeing the school like this, it's kind of eerie. Hell, how long have I been recording? Every freaking time, only 59 minutes. I mean, that is quite a long time, but they always feel much longer. Look at the time, it's like nearly 2:30, and I couldn't remember when I started recording, but now that I think about it, actually it was around about probably 1:30 or something like that. Soon it acts almost as though I'm not there, browsing a vending machine and taking a slow and winding path until we end up behind the main building. Finally, she leans against a wall and faces me, but it's like I've forgotten how to start a conversation. There is a saying, you don't know how much you've screwed up until you screw up. Oh. It's like, you screwed up, Sal. You screwed up by picking that choice way back when, and it's been freaking forever since that. Who says that? I guess it's me. Reconsidering her train of thought, she waves her hands in frustration. Okay, I'll put it differently. When I was younger, we had to make posters for Earth Day in school. There was an old girl in my class whom everyone considered the best artist. It wasn't because she could draw better than everyone else, it was how much she could fit into a single picture. I wanted to be better than her, so I made countless posters until I ended up with the best possible one. I had to be the best and have the greatest one. In the end, everyone liked my poster the most of all, even the teacher. A week later it was meaningless. I threw it in the trash. I think I've told you something like this before. Yeah. When I feel like I'm finished, I would go... I wish I could just wipe the slate clean, whether I succeeded or not. I put Misha through a lot, and even dragged you into it. And every point where I could have solved this silly situation or prevented it from happening in the first place keeps coming back to me. That's the worst feeling, especially when I feel like I've done nothing right and everything wrong. Like recently. It's the worst kind of failure. I feel like a failure on every level. I wish I could wipe away everything I've done and just be alone, since all I've done is mess with Misha for 2 years, and jerk you around for a year for selfish reasons. It's fine. No, it's not. You don't understand. I was just thinking about it. Everything I do feels like I have to beat someone else. Everyone else, even. If that is how it is, then what are my relationships with people? They almost feel the same. I can see where this is going.
The point is that I've messed up so many people by being selfish, and I want to be away from other people for a while.
Even me? God damn it! There's a pause and an interruption. A second. Okay. Spaghetti bolognese it is for dinner. Just like that's completely unrelated and kind of ruins the mood. What is this track called? Shadow of the Truth. You know, well, I've had experience with that, honestly. Naming an instrumental piece is a pain in the ass, because, you know, there's no lyrics, so you don't give it a song title. But it also kind of like you can do anything with it, really. I mean, you could be like that, this, like, Cosmic Journey, that one Vocaloid kind of instrumental, mostly instrumental piece that I came up with. I mean, I called it Cosmic Journey because it's like, okay, I wanted to have this space-like sound to it, so a Cosmic Journey. But, you know, if I freaking... well, I have. But whatever, it's completely unrelated. In a sense, coming up with names for instrumental tracks can be a pain in the ass. Which makes sense. I mean, look at classical music, for example. I mean, it's like, they had all this talent, but they couldn't come up with a title worth shit. It's like, no, I'm not going to give it an actual title. I'm just going to, like, third thing in D major or some shit. Just, like, just say what the music actually is rather than give it its own title. Like, its own, like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm not going to bother that and give it, like, some kind of story to it or anything. I don't know. Yes. Followed by an even longer pause, this time for me. Yeah, exactly right on that. Well, for me anyway, not him, but yeah, that was a long pause. I see. That's the most selfish thing you can do. It's just you making an all decision by yourself. For a minute, it looks as though she's considering the best way to respond. In the end, she simply nods, which I think is the best way to respond anyway. It's very like her to be roundabout even now, but ultimately without excuses. All my emotions simmer inside me. I see a kettle in front of me, water rolling inside it, so close that I can touch it and feel the heat radiating off of it. I'm glad for the distraction, because I know there's no recourse or bargaining possible. You told me that everything was fine, but it wasn't true, was it? I can't believe it ever again. Alright. Not even bothering to sign it, I stand up, my hands are in my pockets, fingering my loose change. The morning air is cold against my face. As I look back at her, she seems very lonely. A reminder of myself. I've made that expression before. Maybe it's on my face right now. It feels like the image of such a lonely girl will stick in my mind forever. Also, that's the same cat from the festival, isn't it? Every moment where I could have prevented this or solved the problem comes back to me. Makes me smile in a way without illusions. That's it? End! Okay. Yeah, what key should we go with? Well, there's one key I like, E flat, mind that I've recently played, so let's go with that. I switched key suddenly. Actually, how would that sound in the L key? Also, seeing that again, we have, I mean, what's the context there? Well, obviously we'll find out on our normal good ending. But you know, one thing that confuses me, I remember reading that Sal apparently dies in one ending or something like that, but he didn't die in that ending, so he must have been referring to Kenji's ending. It's like, wait, what? It's just like, if you haven't seen that part where we did Kenji's ending, it's like, oh shit, spoilers. I mean, that's like probably the worst possible ending that you could have, really, is it? So look in the library here. How many scenes we got left? Well, we've got like the different scene if we like, man, it's this route, man. 4 scenes. An early morning talk with Shizune in the silent school. Very vague, isn't it? It's just like, oh, it also is the bad ending. So, how the time? Yeah, screw it, let's record a bit more. I doubt I'll be able to freaking get to Shizune's good normal ending within this recording. Wait, I loaded the wrong one actually, haven't I? Tongue tie! Loaded the game again! Man, doing that high pitch is ridiculous.